Once upon a time, there lived a young woman named Snow White. She lived in a land that was filled with beautiful people and people who wanted to be with the beautiful people. This land had two distinct groups, the wannabes and the have-it-alls. Now, of course, the have-it-alls ruled. In fact, the place was called Holly Have-it-all Land. And Snow was a typical Gen S. She was a savvy social media person. She had a lot of followers on the Hickory Dickory Dock platform, or HickDock for short. And Snow was she was a typical have-it-all. I mean, she was a bit shallow. She wasn't mean, she wasn't cruel. In fact, she embraced all of the followers, everyone, the have-it-alls, the wannabes, everyone. She didn't care what the background was, and her followers were devoted and they loved her for it. Now, she hadn't always been obsessed with followers and with likes, but alas, her mom had died when she was young, and HickDock became kind of a stand-in parent of sorts. She lived with her father, Mr. Augustus Ignacio White, or AI for short, and he loved his daughter dearly. Really, he did, but he was absorbed in his work. He was a bit of a tech nerd. He'd invented an app that allowed you to bypass all of the automated customer service of any company and get directly to the person that you needed to speak to in the right department. You no longer had to listen to our menu as our options had changed because AI knew that the options never changed. In the land of Holly Wannabe Land, there was also another influencer. She was not very popular. Her name was Karen, and her content was really all fuming and no fun. I mean, her Eye of Newt recipe series had been a complete and utter failure. Karen was very jealous of Snow and was trying to figure out how maybe she could get her canceled or take her followers or something like that. And so she came up with a diabolical plot. She set up an interview with Mr. A.I. White and posed as a reporter for Tech Tales, an online nerd portal. And she traded in her usual attire, which was, a robe and a crown and a scepter. And she put on some casual business wear, and she was looking full on legit for the interview. She started out asking questions about, tech stuff, and then she turned to more personal questions. I just don't know how you do it, AI. Raising a daughter all on your own, it must be so hard being a single dad. AI admitted that it was. She leaned in close with her microphone, which contained a secret love potion. And soon, AI had fallen under her spell, and after a whirlwind courtship, they were married. Now, Snow was happy that her dad was happy, but she got some really weird vibes off of this Karen. In fact, Karen was trying way too hard to be her friend, and she kept asking her about her TikTok account and how she had so many followers. Well, since the fake charm of Karen didn't work, she came up with yet another diabolical plot. She had no shortage of diabolical plans, by the way. And so what she did, she hacked into Snow's account and she started to post all sorts of horrible content about Snow and about the marginalized people of the world, the witches and the warlocks and the mermaids and the centaurs and the jesters and the selkies. And soon all of her followers had turned on her. And even though Snow proclaimed her innocence, no one believed her, and soon she was canceled and off HickDock for good. Snow was devastated. She took to her room in despair. Now, Karen, ever being the supportive stepmom, was all innocent. I can't believe they've done this to you, dear Snow. How could they ever cancel you? You're just so wonderful. So she came up with yet another plan because canceling Snow wasn't enough. She wanted her gone. She wanted her out of the picture completely. So she came to Snow and said, Dear, I've arranged for you to go to a beautiful, lovely spa. Just get away from all this horrible business. Snow shrugged her shoulders and thought, well, why not? Why not get out of Holly Have It All Land? And so Karen hired a deluxe carriage and told the driver to take Snow to a faraway village that had no internet or cell phone connection whatsoever. It had been founded hundreds of years ago by two brothers, Jacob and Wilhelm. It was called Grimston. Well, Before she got in the carriage, Karen handed Snow a gift. Here you go, darling. It was a shiny red Apple iPhone. Text when you get there, dear. Karen put her in the carriage. The carriage drove away, and as soon as Snow turned on the phone, she fell into a deep slumber that lasted for weeks until they crossed into the boundary of Grimston. And all of a sudden, Snow woke up and she looked around and she was alone and she stepped out of the carriage and the driver both just disappeared. And she looked around at this strange land. She couldn't believe what she saw. There were people, they were walking down the street and they were walking with their heads upright and they were looking each other in the eye and there was nary a screen in sight. Well, Snow realized that she was starving and she could smell this delicious aroma in the air and she followed it through the village out into the forest. And soon she came upon a cottage, and the cottage seemed to be covered with red sauce and cheese and assorted vegetables. And there was a sign outside that said, "Welcome to Hansel and Gretel's Cafe, specializing in oven wood-fired pizza." Snow went inside and was greeted by Hansel himself. "Welcome to the cafe, friend. Come on inside. What can I get you?" Snow burst into tears. "I don't know. I'm all alone and I'm hungry and I don't know where I am and my stepmother has sent me here." Hansel rolled his eyes. "Oh, we know all about evil stepmothers." Soon Gretel appeared with a delicious piece of pizza and said, "Here you go, dear." Snow protested, "I can't afford it. I don't have any money." "Oh, don't worry, dear. Anyone who's been banished by an evil stepmother eats free at our cafe. And if you'd like a job and a place to stay, you can work for us and you can live in the loft above the cafe." Snow immediately took them up on their offer. And over the next several weeks, she got to know the village, the people, and she fell in love with them. They were all so kind and so wonderful. And soon she forgot all about likes and followers and Hickdock. Her favorite customers were seven diminutive men who worked at a nearby table and chair factory, and they'd been hired because of their height or lack thereof. Their job was to inspect the underside, of the tables and the chairs. And Snow got to know them, and one day they asked her name, and not wanting to reveal her real name, she said Chilblanca. She didn't want the rest of the world to hate her, as everyone seemed to hate Snow White. The seven men in turn revealed their deepest, darkest secret dream, and that was they wanted to open a massage parlor. Well, Snow White, Chilblanca, said, "Why not?" And they said, "We have no money." She touched the locket around her neck. And right then and there, she decided she would sell the locket to raise the money so that their dream could come true. The men were so appreciative, they made Chilblanca the manager. And they called the massage parlor Chilblanca's. Relax, restore, and chill at Chilblanca's. Well, Chilblanca, of course, being a marketing genius, took over and the place took off. She was brilliant at marketing the seven distinct types of massages that the seven diminutive men had to offer. "Welcome to Chilblanca's. What kind of massage can I get for you today?" There's the sneezy. Every time he sneezes, it's like a deep tissue massage. Or, of course, dopey, that'd be the aromatherapy. Grumpy, if you're feeling blue, his hot stones and complaining about his life will make you feel so much better about yours. Bashful has a light feather duster. Happy will turn your back into the stage for his stand-up comedy routine. And of course, Doc, well, Doc can cure you of any aches and pains, mental or physical. Soon they had lines around the block. They had devoted followers in real life. Now, one day a traveler came through and went to Chilblanca's and wrote a rave review, and he posted a video, of course, after he left town and got to where there was internet connection. But soon that clip went viral. Meanwhile, Karen continued her evil plan to take over Hickdock and become the greatest influencer ever known. She stole Snow's followers, and she turned to her magic mirror on the wall. "Siri, Siri," on the wall. "Now who's the greatest influencer of them all?" "Queen Karen, yes. Your fame has grown. Snow White is but a canceled unknown, but a new influencer is climbing the charts, gathering followers and winning hearts. Karen flew into a rage. Who is this one? Why can I not find anything about her? Quick Karen, this newbie is hard to find. She has no presence, it seems, online. Yet about her, many do rave. She's fast becoming a hick doc fave. Karen soon discovered that Chilblanca was none other than Snow White. And she hired that same carriage and she took that same long journey into Grimston. She marched into Chilblanca's parlor, stood up on a table, a massage table, of course, and she said to everyone who would listen, do you know who this is? Your Chilblanca is Snow White. She is evil. She's been banished. She's been canceled for her horrible content. The townspeople looked around. They were confused. They had absolutely no idea what this crazy lady was talking about. How can you follow her? She has no followers. Do you not know who I am? I am at Queen Karen, Hick Doc's top influencer. Again, they had no idea. And they finally spoke up and said, we do not like you. You do not seem very nice. We don't know who you are. And with that, they threw her in a cave, a comfortable cave, because they were kind people, of course, but it was a cave with no internet access. And Karen was banished to read books and eat wood-fired oven pizza for the rest of her life. Meanwhile, remember the locket that had been sold? Well, the traveler ended up in Holly Have-It-All land, and Snow's father saw the locket and said, wherever did you get that? That belonged to my daughter. I've been searching high and low and far and wide for her. And when he found out that Snow was in Grimston, he immediately traveled there, and they had a wonderful, wonderful reunion. And when he discovered that there was no internet access in Grimston, he offered to put him on the map. The townspeople, again, had no idea what he was talking about, and they looked to Snow for some advice. She thought about it, and she politely declined, because she realized that having friends right here in front of her in real life, well, it's much better than followers and likes, and those things were suddenly not important to her at all. And the village had a wonderful celebration that day. They opened the doors to the massage parlor and gave free massages to everyone, and the entire village had a happy ending. Thank you.